Hello and welcome once again to Lifestyle Housing Radio, your weekly real-life real estate investing radio program here on CILU 102.7 FM, luradio.ca, and of course, lifestylehousing.ca. Hello, I'm your host, Kevin Bunzeluk. Today, my guest is Rachel Hernandez. Rachel is the author of several books, and her website is adventuresinmobilehomes.com. She is an investor who specializes in investing in mobile homes, and that's what we're going to talk about. Everything about what there is to know about investing in mobile homes. It's a great interview. Let's get right to it.
Well, I first got into real estate investing by reading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that book, but it really opened up my eyes, and that's where I kind of learned about the importance of passive income. So in the beginning, my plan was to kind of build up cash so that I could eventually buy and hold properties for cash flow. So I got into real estate. The first thing I did was I started out as a bird dog and then eventually a wholesaler, just finding deals for other investors. And then once I built up enough cash from my wholesaling and bird dogging business, I started buying and holding single-family homes, and eventually I became a landlord. But it wasn't what I expected. There were a lot of issues, and I also ended up hiring property managers, but even then I still had to manage the managers. So it kind of became a headache, and also there was the added pressure of having to pay a mortgage every month, which wasn't really fun and was pretty stressful, especially when you have homes to fill. Doing that, cash out on my entire real estate portfolio and get into the wacky world of mobile home investing. And I talk more about it in my book, Adventures in Mobile Homes, how I got started in mobile home investing and how you can do. And here I am.
Nice. So for those who don't know, can you talk about, I guess, what it is to be a mobile home investor, how it's actually different from investing in a single family home?
Sure, no problem. Well, I mean, it's not much different than investing in anything else, whether it be homes, apartment buildings, computers, anything. The concept is the same, but what makes it different is that it's in an asset class in themselves. Whereas single-family homes, there is some, regulation with single-family homes in terms of city ordinances and whatnot. But mobile homes, and now the politically correct way of saying it is manufactured homes, but people still call them mobile homes, they're regulated heavily through the federal government. So they're built in factories, and yes, the materials are, they're a little bit less costly than single-family homes in general, but it's another option for families and other people to get affordable housing if they can't afford a regular single-family home. But in terms of the differences, I mean, they provide people with a place to live, but the major difference with mobile homes is that they are just that, mobile. You can buy a mobile home in a community, a piece of land, a lot, or wherever, and you can move it somewhere else. And that's what I like about the business. You've got that flexibility. Unlike other asset classes like single-family homes and apartment buildings, you're kind of stuck in one location. I haven't heard about someone moving an apartment building somewhere else. But with mobile homes, you kind of have options. So you can always move the home, and it gives you flexibility as an investor. The other thing I like about mobile home investing, and obviously this differs with each investor, is the fact that I buy the homes with all cash, meaning I don't have a mortgage to deal with. In general, mobile homes are less costly than single-family homes, so it gives an investor an opportunity to get into something with, if they have the cash, after they build up the cash, to buy and not have a mortgage. That's what I like about it. Now, you can get a mortgage on them, but that's a completely different system and story. So essentially, the cash flow I receive, since there is no mortgage, is exactly what I get. Of course, I do have to pay for business expenses, but that's kind of minimal in the business. So,
Okay, and then as far as moving the home, is that a strategy that you use? I imagine it can't be that easy to move the home somewhere and find somewhere else to put it, but I guess the option's there.
Yes, exactly. And I've used it. I think it was actually on my second or third deal that I actually moved home. But I don't recommend moving homes for beginners. Do a couple deals first. It was just one of those situations where the deal was really good. It was on a piece of land, and I had to move it. And I already had a community lined up. And sometimes you can, if you have a good relationship with the community, they'll actually pay for your moving costs, and that's kind of what happened. So, but yeah, I've done it before. I've done it several times, and once you do it the first time, it's not much different. It's just if you go into other areas, then you have to learn the rules of each different location, like the city and county and stuff like that. So.
And I guess location is important for the tenant, so if you can put it in a much more desirable location, you could, I guess, increase the value of your investment just by moving it to somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of some investors, they downplay real estate, like location, 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 but it is so important. And after a decade of doing this, it is very important location.
All right, and then just to clarify your strategy, you're buying the mobile home and renting it out to tenants versus, say, buying a mobile home park and renting out the spots, which would be a completely different strategy.
Yeah, but basically, we do it. I'm kind of like in a hybrid because I rent them out, but then they have an option to purchase it if they want. But they're responsible for the lot rent. They're responsible for the water, utilities, whatnot. And then the deal I have with the communities is if they don't pay, then I'll cover it. And it's been a good strategy. It's worked for many, many years of me doing this. And then people have an option if they want to purchase the home, if they want to. Now, some people, they liked that because it's kind of like a hybrid. You're not like locked into buying something, but at the same time, you're not just renting. So people like that. But then, things come up. People get divorced. I just had one. They got divorced. So, people get, have to take care of family and move away, job location, whatnot. So I feel that a lot of people like that flexibility of having options. And I think we all do. So.
Nice. And then you talked about buying them without a mortgage. I guess that increases your cash flow, and I suppose also helps you sleep better at night knowing that if there's a vacancy, you won't have this huge expense to pay necessarily. Are there any other advantages or disadvantages to mobile home investing specifically?
Sure. I mean, there's both advantages and disadvantages, and I guess we kind of talked about the advantages. One thing I like about mobile home investing is that it is a niche. Not many people are in it, like single-family homes. It's kind of gonna have a high barrier to entry because you kind of need to know the people in the business to get into the business. So you can't just go to any community and buy a mobile home. You have to check with the owner or the park manager. Of course, if they're out on a piece of land and it's privately owned, it's a whole different story. But the information out there, there's not a lot of information out there about manufactured homes. It's increasing now with people wanting to buy affordable homes, but it's not as informative as, say, the single-family home arena or the apartment building arena. So basically, I mean, once you get to know the people that are in the business and you're in, there's kind of like no turning back for me. Now, some people, they've tried a deal and then they don't really like it. It's like, it's not for me. And that's what's great about, the mobile homes. With another advantage, you can get in for a relatively smaller amount of money than a single family home. And if you like it, you can continue. If not, then you can do something else. But being a mobile home investor is kind of like being in a secret club, which is kind of an advantage there. The disadvantage to that is that, yeah, there's not many people doing it, but, it has pros and cons on there. The other disadvantage to mobile homes is the materials that these homes are made of. I went through a natural disaster. It was a flood situation, and I'm still recovering from it. But a lot of a large sum of my portfolio was affected. People had to move out, And these building materials are not the same as single-family homes. They're less costly. The get to know the asset class, and okay, all we have to do is this, um, and it gave me the knowledge. So the materials, some mobile homes are still working. So once that gets wet, you have to constantly replace. Now I got lucky on a couple of mine because they were plywood, but I had one that was particle board, and it was disastrous. So with the flood. So that's kind of the disadvantage with the manufactured homes, the materials that they're made out of.
So is there some things we should be looking out for when we're looking for mobile homes to buy, specific materials or ways they're made? And then as far as the park itself, is there certain things that make a better park than some other ones?
Absolutely, Kevin. Regarding the materials, now with the knowledge that I know, I personally prefer metal homes with the metal siding and the metal roof. They just last. They last. Now there are homes. I'm not saying the other materials are not bad. It's just constant maintenance, and it's up to, the investor to either take the time to do it or have your tenants or whatnot do it if they want to take care of their home. And most times I try to get people who actually want to take care of their homes because it's advantageous to the community, it's advantageous to them, it's advantageous to me. So it's a win-win situation. But there are homes, the siding, most manufactured homes do not have a gutter system. So when it rains, anything, especially in areas with cold weather, the water goes straight down the side of the house. Now, you can kind of install some kind of small gutter system if you want, and some people, they've done that, and most people have not. The thing that they do is if it's hardy board, which is kind of like a wood siding, they just have to replace it over the years and make sure it's sealed, and it's kind of like a constant. With the homes that I've had with that, it's been a pain, but it's a constant replacing this and replacing that and whatnot. So those are kind of some things you got to watch out. But in terms of like the overall home itself, I mean, be sure everything's in mechanical working order. The floors, if you've got particle board and you can just lift up the carpet or whatnot and you can tell, just be aware that it's going to need constant maintenance, especially the areas like where you walk, like the hallways, the living room, anything that gets wet, it's going to soak it up, and you're going to have to cut that piece and put another piece, which is usually plywood. You don't want to put another piece of particle board. But if you can get plywood floors, all the better. And most of the homes that I've bought, they have central heat and air conditioning. There are some older homes that don't have that, and I've known many investors who've been successful in that niche, which, some people, they'll buy it and it's less costly, but, that people have to deal with window units, and you just need to make sure that those window units for air conditioning are installed properly. And that's a whole other conversation with the condensation running down the side of the house. So, but those are kind of some things to look for in a mobile home.
You're tuned in to Lifestyle Hosting Radio on CILU.
I guess the other question you had was in a park?
Yeah.
Okay. As for parks, there are many different types of parks. There are high-end parks, there are middle-of-the-road parks, and there are low-end parks. And when I first started out, I went to every single park out there. There were a lot of parks. And I saw the differences between the parks. And, beginning, I just kind of went after every single deal I could get my hands on. And I found out that, low-end parks are not for me. The type of clientele, now there is a clientele to deal with, and it is a niche, and I know a lot of investors, that's their bread and butter, low-end parks, because they can get the homes cheap, and, they can get someone in there in and out relatively faster because the rents are lower than like a higher-end park. But again, it's the area. So what I liked is I found that what catered to my personality, and then the managers and the owners who are actually managing these parks were more high-end parks. So now my strategy is to just continue in the higher end communities. Also looking at land investing into nice areas as well too, versus the not so nice areas. But I will tell people, do what works with your personality. If you feel you can work in a different type of a park than someone else, hey, go for it. My motto is always build your business around yourself. Don't try to build yourself around your business. So again, looking for in a park, find something that works with you and your personality, both the types of people who live there and the clientele it attracts, and also the people managing it, the managers and the owners and whatnot. So that's kind of all I have to say about that.
All right, and can you talk more about some of the people involved? You talk about people you need to know and kind of be in that club. Who do we need to know? What do we need to know about them? And maybe some tips for dealing with the park managers or some of the other players involved.
Sure. Well, the main people to know in the business are people who are in it day and out. So some people are park owners, park managers. Another one, and not many people think about this, is the maintenance people in the parks who are hired by the parks. I always get to know them because they are eyes and ears. Of course, there's the park managers and the owners, but they've got a lot to deal with. Now, the maintenance people, they're out in the park every single day dealing with maintenance issues. And having a strong relationship with those types of people is really advantageous because they're the ones talking to the residents every single day. Also the managers as well too, but usually they're in the office. Another types of people to get to know are the mobile home dealerships. Now, people are like, why are mobile home dealerships? Because they deal with people who are selling homes and want to trade them, kind of like a used car, and people who want to buy homes. And sometimes there could be people who have a used home and they need to get rid of it, but they need that money to get into a newer home. The mobile home dealership salespeople can help bring the investor and the seller together. Another thing, they have a lot of inside information regarding contractors because they are moving homes every single day. So if you need someone for skirting, if you need someone to move a home, if you need someone to lay foundation, they know it all because that's kind of what they do. They've got to get the new homes from the factory to the new location, which could be a community, a piece of land, lot, whatnot. And then the other types of people you want to get to know are contractors, people who are actually working on mobile homes in the business. Now, I will say there are not a lot of people doing this. Most contractors, they specialize in single-family homes just because there's more business out there for that. But there are contractors who specialize, handyman, electricians, plumbers, landscapers, you name it, specifically on mobile homes and mobile home communities. And these are the people you want to know. A lot of times they're advertising right in the communities, and then the managers, they have to deal with these people every day if they need, regular maintenance, if they're going to outsource some of the, usually the parks have either a couple people on maintenance just for handyman type work, but skilled labor such as electric or plumbing or air conditioning, they usually hire that out. So those are other people to get to know. And then the other thing is just to get to know other investors who are doing the same thing. And the way you find that out is obviously through the park managers, and you can see what's available in these parks, and it could be an investor. And just kind of get to know them and, kind of learn from them. And most people, they can kind of see an advantage because if you're new and you've got time and they need help in some way, they're going on vacation, and you can kind of watch the homes, that's a good thing. I also have the managers and the owners watch the homes for me, as well as the maintenance as well too. But the important thing when getting to know these people is building the relationship. Don't think about doing your deals or whatnot or getting anything. It's just kind of getting to know these people and then going from there. I know it does take time, but the relationships, if you can build a strong relationship, you'll be successful in this business.
Yeah, I guess a lot of them would be a great resource for when you're looking to actually buy some homes. Do you have any other tips for how to find and buy a mobile home?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the dealers. The other tips that I have is, again, get to know the park managers and the owners. You can also go into other communities. Say, you want to deal in high-end communities, but that high-end community needs a home. You can go to the dealership. You can go to another community and see if there are any other homes for sale out there. I mean, I know a lot of people try to go on the internet and find things, and that's a whole different strategy. That is not my strategy. But my strategy is more being local, getting to know these communities, getting to know the dealerships in the area, getting to know the contractors. These are the people who are in it every day. They're the eyes and ears. And if you keep reminding them, you have a great relationship with them, you're going to be the first person that they call when they see a home for sale. I remember in the beginning, now some of my other fellow investors who don't do mobile homes, they laugh at me for doing this, but in the beginning, I actually went to some of the dealerships and I talk to their sales team about what I do, and I bring in donuts, and they're like, what? But this is kind of, oh, wow, there's someone doing this, and I can help this person. I can, if they need to sell a used home to get a new home, it's kind of a win-win situation for everyone. So, my thing is, local. Be local, get to know the areas, get to know the people, and you will be successful in the business. The whole internet and the doing things on the computer, that's a completely different strategy. It does work for some people, but it's not my strategy. So
Nice. And I was going to ask you about the tenant profile for mobile homes. I think a lot of people have the perception that it's kind of like a trailer trash type, lowbrow type of person, but the way you're describing it, it seems like there must be all kinds of people.
yeah, and unfortunately, it's just the kind of stigma, Kevin, that comes with manufactured housing. That is one segment of the population. There are parks like that, and like I said, from my experience, I've learned to just deal in high-end parks, but there are investors that deal in low-end parks, and they have to deal with that. And it works for them and their business and their personality. I get it. But there are, just like single-family homes, there are different people for mobile homes. I mean, there's a growing senior population that we have, that there are some parks that are only 55 and older communities, and I know many, many investors who are successful in those communities. They buy smaller homes, and they deal with maybe one or two people who buy the homes, 55 and older, elderly couple or single or whatnot. And it works for them. The segment that I focus on is younger families. It just works with me and my personality. In the beginning, I tried doing everything. For me, just dealing with younger families with kids actually works better for my personality. So, I mean, it really depends on you and also what the market bears, because different communities, and as you can tell, going through these parks, you'll see the different types of people who are in these communities. But absolutely, there's different people. It's not just catered to that stigma of that mobile home, trailer, trash, whatever the people see on TV or in the movies.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else we need to know about mobile homes?
I guess one last thing about mobile homes is, some people think, well, if I do this, then I can get property management involved. And there are people who actually hire property managers to manage their properties. And the thing I can tell people about that is, since I'm local, I self-manage, but I do have park owners, park managers, maintenance. I also have other investors that, I know on a personal basis. If I'm on vacation, they'll watch my homes for me. They'll drive or whatnot. And I do that the same for them. So in terms of management, that's kind of my style. I'm really a hands-on kind of person. I know there's people that prefer to be hands-off. It does work. You just have to know the types of people who are actually managing for you. There's been so many. I mean, you've probably heard the stories, Kevin. People hire property management companies, money disappears, or there's bids that are put in, and the jobs are too high or whatnot. You really have to know who you're hiring if you decide to go that route. But for the beginning person, just kind of start out small, see if you like the business, and then just grow from there. And that's kind of what I did.
How can people find out more about you and get in touch?
Sure. Well, I have a website, Adventures in Mobile Homes, and it's adventuresinmobilehomes.com. And I also offer a free book for anyone interested. It's called Conversations with Mobile Home Girl, 10 Do's and Don'ts to Get Started in Mobile Home Investing. And you can find that at adventuresinmobilehomes.com/free. And once you get it on that, you'll get the book. And I also offer a private, free Facebook group for anyone who wants to, get in touch, ask questions or whatnot. It's on Facebook, and the name of the group is called Mobile Home Investors. Feel free to join, send in a request, and you can get your questions answered there as well too.
Well, great. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Rachel Hernandez from adventuresinmobilehomes.com. I hope you enjoyed that and got a lot of great information from that. Yeah, mobile home investing, not something I know too much about, not something I've ever really been interested in personally, but I have on the odd time seen some, very cheap homes for sale, and it makes you wonder. So if that's an investment strategy for you, then hopefully you got a lot of great information about that and found some useful stuff that you can put to work in your investing career. This is Lifestyle Hosting Radio on CILU 102.7 FM. We're also on luradio.ca. I'm your host, Kevin Bunzelak. Please tune in next week where we're going to have another great guest and another great episode. Until then, so long.